Blue Antler is a liminal place. A place where knowledge lies in sun-filled meadows, and wisdom slumbers in the deepest shadows of the forest. Profound inner knowing comes when we touch the unknown. Our unions with the mysteries drive us onward. Our liminal conversations explore the lives of those who have touched the unknown. What was it like to experience the mysteries? How did they discover their path? Join my search for whispered secrets and hidden wisdom. Who knows? It may help you discover your path. Welcome back to Blue Antler, Whispered Secrets and Hidden Wisdom, a Discover Your Path podcast. I'm Ken, your host. Today, we'll be talking to my friend Erich. Erich is the founder of Black Elk Tattoo. Erich is a tattoo artist known for a wide variety of styles. Also, Erich is responsible for all of my, I think except one, head and face tattoos, as well as several others on my body. But I was really excited to get to talk to Erich. We actually recorded 2 episodes. The first one we recorded, and because I was trying something new with recording equipment, it didn't work out. So we had to record again, which was okay. And Erich was very cool about hanging out with me for another hour. So what you're about to hear is the second interview. If I can possibly get the audio unfucked, you will get to hear the first one, which is I thought was a great conversation. So until that happens, here is my conversation with my friend Erich of Black Elk Tattoo. So, how do you engage with the social norm holidays and can you do that and still try and help your kids understand or figure out that that's a structure or a program that's in our culture, and that we can assign whatever meaning we want to it, and it doesn't have to be a have to, I guess.
Yeah, or it has to be like a Christmas type thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's like, well, we're not Christian household for sure.
Yeah. You have the most Viking children I've ever seen. The most Nordic, white-haired, blue-eyed children. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Like
my 4-year-old is nearly half my size already.
Are you shitting me?
He's wearing 8-year-old shoes.
Oh my god! I haven't seen him in a little bit.
Yeah,
holy shit!
Yeah, he's large, and we're not huge people. No. Our ancestors were huge, apparently, wielding 7-foot claymores.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I mean, holy shit. Okay, so
possibly, who knows?
Well, I mean, yeah.
That didn't make it to me. That's for sure. I'm 5'8".
You were made for other things.
Right. Yes.
Well, I'm the opposite. So all of my family, like my dad is probably 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah.
And his uncle was tall. My mom has some height on her side, but I'm 6 foot tall, and I'm by far taller than everyone else. And almost all of my ancestors were miners at some point. So like they had to be built small and
you couldn't be very tall, yeah.
No, and but now I'm the one who's like taller. I don't know. Weird.
That is strange.
It is weird.
But I mean, who knows how far back that has to go.
I really like the mytrueancestry.com.
Yeah, that's cool. Huh?
It's really cool. I really I want to upgrade.
Yeah.
Because I want to see some different things. I didn't
it's super cheap too.
I did not think it was expensive. No.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. Like my family never talks about, I think I brought this up to you in a text. My family never talks about the Welsh as being like a stopover for people, kind of thing. And so when I did the My True Ancestry and I went back, and now I'm all, like my first, when they talk about the royalty, like your royal bloodlines, it was Danish.
Right.
And I'm like, Danish? What the hell is that? Like, what, really? And so the idea that the Dane coming from the Danes, and then what was the other? And the Scottish, like that's a pretty heavy line in that more recent past.
Like the medieval.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it goes back ancient. I don't know the years, like.
It talks about bronze, Neolithic.
Right. Yeah. Not Stone Age, but I mean, I don't know. It's tricky.
What was it?
To read, but yeah, the first ones that show up are Swedish Vikings, which are strange.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like Denmark area. And then they all went to Germany. And it seems like from Germany, they went over and split, went to what's now the UK and Scotland.
Yeah, I didn't.
Or Ireland, sorry.
Yeah, Ireland. I had a couple houses that I wasn't really sure about, like the house of whatever, or whatever clan, and so I kind of went through and Googled the ones I couldn't tell, and I'm like, oh, there's some Irish, and there's some, like, I don't know, German, and then there's all of that. But I need to educate myself on what all of those fucking genetic terms mean, haplogenic, and all that stuff. I didn't, and like the idea that like the Y, women, like female people get their Y from. I can't even begin to describe it. I was so confused as to what was happening.
It's kind of difficult to read. It's hard to navigate the site. I mean, I like it. But it's got a lot of good credentials, which makes me think, it's legitimate.
Yeah.
But it is difficult to kind of read it. Also, I'm no geneticist either, but I just know, I don't know, the mother's side and the father's side.
Right.
And I guess where those split, and on that site, yeah, it's strange. Things I would never have thought of. English royalty at like 46%.
Yeah.
On I think it's my dad's side. I haven't done or maybe it's mom's. I don't know.
It's interesting.
It's strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's weird, and weird things that are connected to like specific regions that we've been to in Scotland, strangely enough.
Yeah.
But then thinking of, Clan Donald, I mean, most white people are probably connected to Clan Donald at this point anyway.
At some point, yeah.
So things like that are strange, but there's strange feelings attached to them also. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. I do. So I guess we're just gonna dive right into that.
Yeah.
I mean, might as well. We'll take a hit of coffee, and then so this stuff that you found out came after your trip to Scotland.
Yes.
So I remember that when Katie and I were talking about Scotland,
mm-hmm.
and then like the flights from home, whatever, mm-hmm. and finding like good deals to go to Europe. And she found it. It was amazing. Like
$700 for two people from Salt Lake or Chicago, either way.
Yeah.
To Inverness.
Yeah. Yeah. It was super cheap. Yeah. And you can't pass that up. So that's, I mean, Scotland was on your list.
I had no idea.
So, touchdown in Scotland on a plane. And what happened?
Well, immediately it was just totally, we stopped in London first. We were on a 6 to 9 hour layover.
Oh, okay.
It was cool. We did a high-speed London tour with taxi cab. His name is Mick Greenwood. He's a great individual. Very smart. You have to be a genius to know the streets of London and then fly around and then know all the historical facts. It's just, they call it the knowledge.
And how to get around London in 6 hours.
Right.
To get you back to the airport.
Right. So we did all that. So we were up, forever. Got to Inverness. Katie said, "Oh, I got the Best Western." I was like, "Cool." It's great.
Great.
We get there, and the Best Western's in a building that was built in the 15th, 16th century out of stone on the River Ness.
What, you mean they didn't tear it down and build up a new one?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
that's weird.
Yeah, they saved their history. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Like Salt Lake, I just heard they're tearing down that weirdo place on 13th and State. With all the strange cement. I think he uses cement sculptures and stuff. It's like a weird church type thing. Down? I think there's a petition to get people to buy it. So I'm going to put that out there. If anybody's a millionaire and wants to buy it, they should buy it. Wow. Because it's a huge piece of outsider art, culture, and history that really shouldn't leave Salt Lake at all. But yeah, I think Nate Wade, somebody bought the property. So
it'll be a car dealership.
Right.
Okay.
With, the condos they're building across the street. Okay. And all those buildings are old. There's a 1930s car inside that's probably been in there forever. I think it was a repair shop at one point.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't looked too much into it, but seeing it when I was a kid and crazy sculptures on the roof and just whoa, that place is nuts.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Totally went off on a
tangent. No, I distracted.
Oh, the trip to Scotland.
Yeah, I distracted because I'm. That's how it works.
No, I get you. You give me a nudge and I'll go off the road.
No, listen, we both are. We both can do that quite easily. So Best Western.
Yeah, it was great.
In this beautiful old building.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, we woke up and then went to Urquhart Castle, then across the whole country in a matter of hours. It was great.
That's a weird thing, isn't it?
Amazing. Yeah, we went back and forth cross country. Probably it was just the best thing that ever happened to us. But yeah, strange feelings. Deja vu every day. Strange saw house, a Victorian house next to, I can't remember the water source, but had dreams about when I was a kid. Just
really,
yeah, absolutely. Had reoccurring dreams about it. Then after learning about going to Scotland, popped in my head a few times, but yeah, stuff like that. Don't know, genetic memory. Because I know limited things as far as my past with my immediate and extended family. They're all in Michigan, and from what my understanding was, half was French Canadian at some point, came over. That's how they came over from Europe, and German, and some Irish, and that's really all I knew. But yeah, after coming back, it was hard to adjust.
Let me ask you this real quick. You said, okay, my experience is that my my family talks about us being Welsh. We're Welsh. You're Welsh. You're Welsh. But like, we don't even know what that really means. I think.
What was before Wales?
Right. Yeah. And like the fact that like when we went to Wales, we found the graveyard of an ancestor who was like a pastor or a preacher or something. And like my dad remembers, I think it was him coming over to visit and then going back. But we don't have any traditions that are passed down from our family that are Welsh or anything like that. So you knew that you had, these different lineages that you just listed. Did you have any tie to them other than knowing that that's where your people come from? Like, did you have?
Not really. No.
Okay. Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, sort of. I mean, as far as being anal retentive with stuff, that's probably very German. I really appreciate good design, stuff like that.
Being on time.
Sure.
Timeliness.
Yes.
Organization. Yes.
A little bit. Things other than that, really. My love for beer, obviously. I love the food. But never really thought about it when I was a kid. Didn't have any ancestral ties to anything really as a kid at all. Maybe, I don't know. It's growing up in a really small town in Utah where everybody is Welsh, Swiss, Irish, or all those places that came over to settle the area 100 and whatever years ago.
Because you have Swiss days.
Yes.
Up in Midway. Midway Hebrew. It's Midway, right?
Midway, yeah. Yep. Yeah, and it looks a lot like Switzerland. It's great.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful place. But yeah, no, I was never really told as a kid. I knew my grandma was German from my mom, and was told my grandfather on that side was Irish, and he was a horrible person. So I don't know. Yeah, kind of went through life searching a lot about it.
Yeah.
Like, not really searching a lot about it, just being mindful about it, but not really putting forth any kind of effort until really getting back from the
Scotland.
UK. Yeah.
So, before we continue on, is your eye doing the thing again? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not. Well, if it's your fault, it's fine.
Hopefully, it's not. Like, let's. I have a couple places I want to go. Real quick though, let's talk about your eye because I think it's a funny, interesting story. So I ran into you at the Mart of the Wall.
Yes. The village
marketplace. One-stop shop. A week ago.
Was it today?
It was a week. Yeah, it was Monday.
Yeah, it was.
So, and I ran into you there, and
probably about this time, huh?
Actually, yeah, it was exactly almost. And you had mentioned that you had an opening this week. Someone canceled, and did I want that? Because I mentioned, oh yeah, we need to talk about my next tattoo, which I love, by the way.
It fits real well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people. It's not. I think people are used to me having facial tattoos and head tattoos. So, and like I told you, the more they come out, and the more like I feel like my skin starts looking like I'm supposed to look. I feel like the less people notice because it's just me.
So, it's like a really good haircut.
Yeah, you shouldn't notice. Yeah, you shouldn't just know that someone got their haircut. You're just like, oh, this is effortless.
I'm not standing on a soapbox at all.
No. So I began to tell you. Oh, here it goes again.
It's okay.
I began to tell you what the idea was, and what happened to you.
Well, I just got like this weird, like sinus pressure in my left side of my head, and in my eye just closed and started spasming, as if I was getting some kind of crazy information.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I'm going to say it was.
And you didn't smell toast, so you were not having a stroke.
Or burning feathers or whatever.
Right, whatever they call it.
I wasn't stroke. Nope, it wasn't a stroke yet. I mean, unless it's a very long, a week-long stroke.
Yeah. Wow. So it began to, yeah.
It's currently doing it. It has throughout the week.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning, it was on your Psychic Medium podcast. I think a similar thing was happening to Kelly. And she was saying her friend was like, "You're downloading."
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm buffering.
Yeah, you're like, my internet speed, my download speed is not. I'm not connected to 5G.
Yeah. No, maybe it is 5G. That's what it is.
Looking 5G.
Bill Gates.
Billy. Okay, so you and I have had other. Well, you've done all of my head and face tattoos except for the raven. And I go to you for my sacred artwork because it is sacred, and because it's something that you hold space for. And so I think, it's really interesting. It was interesting to go through that with you at the Village Market. I'm going to start calling it that instead of Walmart.
It's more classy.
It's well, and I'm super classy. So
we frequent the finest establishments.
Yes, of course. I love 7-Eleven.
Right there.
I know it's next door. Okay. But the cookies actually came from Nighttime.
They're good.
I love them. Yeah,
they're real good.
I refrained from buying the donuts, which is what it was. Is a donut shop anyway? So, okay, we have that connection, and I appreciate that we can channel that, and hold that together.
Right.
Now, my other question was going to be,
before you cut off.
Yeah,
it was right in the entrance the whole time.
We're standing in liminal space.
Yeah. It was in the entrance and exit.
I forgot.
We had the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Right next to the hair place.
So 2 entrances. The entrance to the Walmart Village store and the entrance into the hair place. So we were at the intersection of
like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Of
liminal.
Yeah. That was cool.
Wow. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
Yeah.
So then I ended up getting my artwork done, my markings done last week. So yeah. So thank you.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Oh, it's. I just know that I can. Hey, throw up all of my ideas that have been in my head, and then you kind of just okay, here we go.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yep. That's how it works.
Well, that's exactly how it works. Okay. Back to Scotland.
Okay.
Now, this is going to be purely selfish.
Selfish.
I'm going to be selfish for a second. So
it's your place.
Well,
the podcast.
The podcast, yeah. Okay. I'm going to Inverness in October.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much time did you spend in Inverness?
We spent the first night and then the last 3 nights there. So, are you asking for?
Yeah, like, did you like it?
Well, I loved it. I could live there. Of course, I love it. Okay. But yeah, it's not huge by any means, but it seems like it's a younger town that I think more of a younger generation is starting to populate. It's the gateway to the Highlands. Mm-hmm. A lot of cool restaurants were there, amongst all the tourist stuff. I mean, I love it. On the outside, I guess what we would call the suburbs. I don't know what you would call their downtown. Like there's no, you don't hear anybody say, "Well, we're going to eat downtown."
I don't. Yeah, I've never heard that.
The old part, I guess, maybe old part of town.
Yeah,
is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Ancient stone buildings. Inverness Castle. Castle Tavern, the first place I tasted single malt whiskey, changed my life.
Really?
Yeah, it was well, the first place in Scotland I tasted single malt. That was significant anyway.
So that was kind of like your mushroom. You took the mushroom or the psychedelic, and then everything changed.
Oh, we had those too, but it wasn't on those days. No, that was no, Castle Tavern it's right across the way from Inverness Castle.
Okay.
Or Castle Inverness. Yeah, it's amazing. It's totally amazing.
Wow.
I would suggest, because you're going to be there, right? Mm-hmm. Take a bus to Urquhart Castle. It's right down Loch Ness.
Okay.
Or if you can, go east to Elgin Cathedral, which is probably my favorite place in the world. And there's an abbey out there too. I can't remember. That's even more impressive that we weren't able to see. Hopefully someday.
Okay.
But there's so many things, right? There's Culloden,
which is like to see Culloden.
South of there. The Clavacairns, you have to go there. 6,000-year-old passage tombs, and
I'm just getting the whole left side of my face is kind of
cool
lighting up, or I'm having a stroke. That's the hard part.
It's all strokes.
It's
different strokes.
Oh my God, do you remember that TV show?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I loved it. Okay.
Different folks have different strokes.
I mean, that can be taken in so many different
ways. Well, true.
And it is me, because I'm 13 okay. At heart. Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm going for a writer's retreat for a week, and we are at a house for a week, like 30 minutes away from Inverness. But I think we're going to try and do a week, if not 2 weeks before that, just in Inverness, get a place, like a house, rent a house, and just be there for 2 weeks.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
You have all kinds of time.
Yeah, which should be fun.
That's amazing. Yeah, you can go all over the whole damn country, man.
Yeah. So that was one of the other things I thought was funny. Like when I was in Ireland last time, and we were talking about all of a sudden I thought, well, how big is Ireland compared to Utah? It's only like a third the size of the state of Utah. And I thought, oh, that's so weird to be able to travel from one end to one and ocean to ocean or water to water there in like 5 hours. And you could do it faster if their speed limit was our speed limit.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird to be able to...
I don't know, they go pretty quick up in Scotland, though. Like, I was having a hard time keeping up.
Really?
Like, through the Highlands. Yeah, they fly through that place.
Really? Oh.
Well, it was also frightening driving to begin with out there.
On the other side of the road?
Just to begin with. But, yeah.
Yep.
I got used to it, but it was, Yeah, sorry. Cut you off.
No, that's okay. I think it's interesting that we're talking about navigating a place.
Foreign lands.
When you literally have to drive on the opposite side of the road, you're on the opposite side of the car. And
super fun, though. It makes it really fun.
I loved it. I thought it was fun.
I wouldn't know how to use a manual transmission, though. Out there.
I did.
Oh, wow.
Because I thought I can do it. I'm not going to spend money on an automatic when I can. I'll figure it out. It was interesting, but the problem is when I come back, if I'm gone like 2 to 3 weeks and I come back, I find myself turning onto the opposite side of the road, even though I'm on our side of the car now.
Yeah.
I still end up kind of like drifting toward the center line because I think my body should, you know what I mean? Like my body should be on the other side now. I don't know. It's weird.
You're getting your sea legs back. That happened to me. Yeah. When we, everything was so huge coming back, the lanes of traffic that could fit 3 cars out there in, like their lanes are the size of our parking spaces.
If that.
Right.
Sometimes it's...
We have to accommodate for giant
Ford truck right there.
Big white truck.
So, let me ask you this. Well, we're going to keep going back to Scotland. But, so, what was it like navigating life here when you got back from Scotland?
Really, really, really hard. Really difficult to come back. I was cranky, irritable. I was a jerk to my wife, my kids. I feel horrible about it. Amongst being that way normally, I felt extra shitty. It was hard adjusting, man, because even the reputation of, Scots being loud and opinionated and angry, which is hilarious, some of them are for sure, but they're the kindest people I've ever met on the face of the earth. Everybody I met in England, everybody in Scotland and on the way back was just helpful. I think it's culturally advantageous to be that way, obviously.
Yeah.
Just because there isn't so many goddamn people out there than there are out here.
Yeah.
There's it's ridiculous, 5.6 million people in Scotland.
Really?
Yes, there's 6.8 million sheep in Scotland. At least from what I've read. I think I'm getting that right. I could be totally wrong. There's 2+ million folks on the other side of the Ochres.
Yeah, like I just looked it up because I wanted to know, but the population of Utah is 3.338 million, and that was in 2021. So, like,
I think that's right.
Wow. So 5 million people in Scotland. So only a little bit. And okay, hold on. Now,
we'll look that up first. See if I'm wrong, because I don't want to be wrong on the internet.
5.4 5.454 million in 2019.
Yeah. Unless they let some folks in.
I think it says estimated 5.51 million in 2022.
Yeah, that's great. And then in the Highlands, nobody's there. Unless it's summertime, probably.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. Okay. So also, Scotland. We're totally doing this. So you hold on, you guys.
That may be why I'm so drawn there to
miles.
Get as far away from American people, Utah American people.
Listen, bro.
All people.
I use the term bandwidth, but my bandwidth is pretty fucking narrow lately.
These days.
Yeah.
I've been trying to be good. I really have. I've been trying to change myself wholly as a person.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody's mad.
It's hard. So Scotland is about the same size as South Carolina.
Uh-huh. I'm pretty sure all of UK is smaller than the Intermountain West.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I like to do that kind of because I spatially orient. I'm very good at like directions. And I think that place is so much bigger.
Oh yeah.
Than it really is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fascinating.
There's so much stories and history and everything. It's huge.
God, yeah.
In my mind, you know.
When people ask me, they're like, like, what have your experiences been with ghosts or paranormal? And I tell people I tell people the most solid things were in Ireland. And audible, knocking, footsteps, knocking on my door, being loud, like apparition, like it. Oh God, that was some knocking on. I don't know.
Somebody
anyway,
on the ceiling. There's a leprechaun in the ceiling.
There's a leprechaun in the ceiling. Hopefully, it's not like that leprechaun in the movie because he was creepy.
I have to cut you off. Have you seen The Irishman?
No.
With the Scorsese film?
No.
Okay. Anyway, the joke's going to go flat anyway. But there's a T-shirt I saw that, the Leprechaun movie?
Yeah.
The little shitty Leprechaun guy. Yeah. And it said, it juxtaposed those two movies, and it said The Irishman on the bottom. Sorry, that's just what popped in my head. I cut you off.
No, don't. Please, it's conversation. I'll have to go watch The Irishman now because
it's good,
and I will look for the T-shirt.
It's good, except for the CGI. Because they're really young at one point in the movie,
and they do that's tough.
Yeah.
Someone the other day asked me. I can't remember who it was, but they had kind of posed the question like, I wonder if there are as many haunted places in the UK and the British Isles as there are here. And I know I couldn't control my face.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, like the oldest, one of the most haunted places, they think, is one of the longest running taverns in history, and it dates back to the 1300s or whatever, and that's
right.
Border. I think
is that the Brazen
into
Head?
Wales.
No, that's in Ireland.
I can't remember now, but I'm like, you got to think like people stayed in that. People have slept in that room for
long time.
800 years, 800 years now. I can't do math. 7. And of course, like it's seen people hanged. It's fed people. It's like
people done anything you can imagine in that place.
Yeah, and like of course, like there's just we don't even have that. I mean, you can go to, like the Four Corners or to like different places that were here before we were here, but they weren't constantly populated.
Right.
And there wasn't, I mean, there probably
not
was.
populated with white folks who behave that way.
Well, and you and I have been talking with my ancestry stuff. The idea of watching the movement of people, like the Visigoths and stuff, like watching the movement of that and how it all of that happened. So these buildings in the UK have been taken over and taken over and taken over and taken over, and of course there's residual.
Oh yeah.
Energy just there.
The humanity, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Thousands of years over there. Over here too, but not, it's different, I think.
It's way different, yeah.
There was more, obviously way more synchronicity with nature over here with the people, and at least shortly before the folks came over. But yeah, I don't know. That's interesting, maybe.
So why, we're going back to you. Was there a point in time when you were like, man, I'm being a fucking asshole to everybody, and now I figured out why?
I still haven't figured out why.
Okay.
That's work in progress. I think that's an overall question, I think. But do you mean Scotland. Yeah. With that was immediately. Yeah. That was even like I was recognizing my frustration in Dallas, Fort Worth. That was the I'm convinced the asshole of the whole world. Coming back over from just being the most really at ease and relaxed and at home in my own skin than I ever have been. Really. And then, coming back to just complete insanity. I got searched. That was a horrible experience. Just terrible. Ripped through like my bag, opened up a sealed tube of scotch.
Really?
It was real rough. And I apologize openly to my wife. Just, that whole being at home really feeling, and then going back to a place, that's completely different.
Was there a place there that you felt most aligned? I use the word aligned.
Yeah. Sky, for sure.
Really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What was that feeling like compared to what it feels like here?
Old. Really, just really old and comfortable. Like just really old and comfortable, I think. The weather. We went in March, so there was a lot of inclement weather, which I love. There's waterfalls next to Kilt Rock, and just driving around Skye, truly. Yeah, it was the best.
Wow.
Portree, that which is on Skye. I could, if I could hoist black elk and drop it in Portree.
You would.
Oh man, yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Wow. What has the process been like to kind of restabilize yourself back here? Having now, actually, I think this is what's kind of hard sometimes. we feel the alignment and we
Mhm.
feel the peace and we feel the knowing.
Mhm.
And then we get ripped out of that and we're like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
so, and then we have to figure out some way to survive
Or go back there
or live.
somehow.
Yeah.
Physically or, mentally go back there.
Do you have that? uh, I'm in a, okay, let's make it a playlist. It's a playlist
Okay.
on your Spotify or your Apple
I can
iTunes,
understand
whatever.
that.
So when I want to get into that mode and mood of alignment, I can play this playlist
Mhm.
and it will take me there. Have you figured out kind of how to do that to get yourself back to that space without having to be in the place?
Oddly through music. That's funny how you brought that up. Been listening to a lot of,
Yeah.
I guess you'd call it contemporary Scottish folk music.
Okay.
Really like stuff that was recorded, very recently and still are on tour. It's really good stuff like that. That takes me right back there. Whiskey takes me right back there because I'm actually consuming Scotland. The water, the barley, the oak,
Yeah.
everything that it's aged in,
Yeah.
and just meditation, ritualistic things like setting up. I don't think I'm ever gone really.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have to go back anywhere. I'm right there.
Yeah. That's cool. So
The playlist has gotten up to like 23 hours or something like that
really,
now. Yeah, it's funny. I just hit random.
Wow. Because when you guys, I think I remember Katie telling me you went to this. I think it's way the fuck far out, and it was one of the first places you went to,
Oh
and there
yeah.
ended up being like a little tiny restaurant, but they had music, they had live music.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it was one of the most incredible things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That was on the peninsula of Knoydart,
Right.
and
Thank
the
you.
village of Inverie, which you can only get to by boat, or it's a 15-mile hike on foot, and you take a ferry from Malig, um, past the Isle of Rum and Eeg, and we went from there back to Malig, which took us to Skye when we ended up on Skye. But Knoydart, yeah, we ended up staying at the owners of the Old Forge, which is Britain's most remote pub. It wasn't open at the time. They were doing some business dealings with the previous owner, but we stayed at their Airbnb, which was just tremendous. It was amazing. Like, yeah, completely crazy.
Wow. Wow. One of the things I feel like when I went to Ireland that I probably it took me a while to figure out, like maybe the second trip or third, was that I was missing connecting with the people because I can be very shy and introverted. I think that's how I am naturally. I just have compensated.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, you're in a people business too, right? Like,
my default state is introvert for sure.
Yeah. I feel like when we went the first time, we lucked out, and the last place we stayed was a little cottage on a working farm, and the people who owned it, super nice, came over, chatted with us. We went over there, and we happened to be there on the odd week or the even week when up in the mountains there was a little, I mean, no bigger than this room. I mean, this room is probably bigger, called the Dying Cow.
Oh, wow.
And all the local musicians got together. And so we sat in the corner. There was like one little bit bigger table. We sat in the corner. The musicians were in the other corner, played. We were there. They took us. We would never have found it.
Right.
You only know because the locals, right? It was one of the most amazing experiences. And I really do wish we had some sort of live music aspect to our local culture here.
Yeah.
And there might be. I don't feel like
there's not
tied, right? Like it's not tied to our.
It's not cultural
traditions.
It's not. Yeah, everybody doesn't go to the public house and discuss absolutely everything. That's ancient. That's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old.
And I miss that. I think that's one of the things I feel inside of me that I miss is this idea that I'm going to be home. And then when it's time to, go into town once a week and have a pint and shoot the shit with everybody and listen to music, and then you go home, or, kind of thing, like, it's much more 24/7 access to everything instead of like having this, time.
Because everything's slower.
Yeah, for sure. So going back to Scotland, before Scotland, how do I put this? How are you different? Because I knew you before. I've known you for years now, and I've watched you unfold. Is that a good way to put it?
I did gain a lot of weight.
Oh my God,
that's been gone. I lost it. But yeah.
You did, yes. How has that been? Because you and I have talked, and the Scotland trip was a key to unlock certain things, like the genetic memory you mentioned earlier. Like it unlocked you differently. So how, like, in what ways did going there and coming back just kind of like broaden you? Like, how has it changed you?
Well, it blew the doors off of what I've been hiding, I think for years. Experiences that I've had and forgot about, and overall really just kind of a catalyst on trying to be a more authentic version of myself and better, for my family and the community. Really, just that's being less of a jerk is better for everybody overall. But just not attitude wise, 100% more spiritual things, synchronicities, feelings, things you can't explain, with the other stuff. I've always been receptive to those things, but dismissed them out of, I think, a particular circumstance that happened. I don't think we've actually discussed it. I was married previously. As you do in Utah, you get married super young because that's what we do here, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We moved to Eugene, and in Eugene, and this all took place within like a year, just right before my apprenticeship as a tattooer. And we befriended this guy. He was kind of a spiritual person, like claimed to be like a shaman, had old ways about him, Native American type stuff. We became really good friends. he became kind of like a father figure, actually, moreover. Long story short, he manipulated the situation to where we would get divorced, and he ended up with my now ex-wife.
What?
Mm-hmm.
We have not spoken about this.
No, I don't know. I don't know why.
Wow. Okay. No, we haven't.
So, therefore, I've taken all that he, wild quotation marks, taught me, showed me things, led me to experience. I shut all that off, threw it in the trash, called it 100% bullshit.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
For years and years and years.
Wow. How can you not?
Right.
When that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck.
Right. I don't know why I never told you that. That was because it's really, I actually didn't come to the realization up until I was tattooing a client. We were having a conversation about the other, things like that. And it hit me then. I was just like, you know what? That's probably why. And then I'm just like, holy shit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been there. It's always been there, but spending 20 plus years trying to rationalize things through science and skepticism, and even it got to the point of cynicism to where I was like, yes, no, that's all bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I believe in the observable universe. I'm an atheist. You can't convince me of all this shit.
Yeah.
It's where I have a hard time with the nomenclature and the woo-woo stuff. And I still have a real healthy skepticism about all this. But the things that I've been denying for 20 plus years have cracked the surface in ways that I can't ignore,
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Maybe I didn't tell you because it's going to make for a good episode.
I mean, maybe you're holding out.
Maybe, I was what I was. That's fine.
So if you're listening, you heard it here first. I actually have never heard that story. But did you listen to the episode where I interviewed
many bubbles?
Kate? I know. I noticed that earlier in your water bottle.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the episode I did with Kate, my friend Kate?
Yes.
So she has similar experiences with energy work, right? Because her mother kept going. Sorry. Someone she knows very closely. I think she talked about it actually. Her mom kept going to these energy healers,
which I thought interesting, the correlation with LDS.
Yeah.
Which I never heard of. And just, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to make that point. That was super cool. It makes some sort of sense.
Well, I think we've forgotten too quickly that we call them kitchen witches. But
in tattooing, we call them kitchen wizards.
Oh. I like it. We're going with it. I have a story for you in a second. Women had to know what plants were beneficial for what, and it wasn't which. You were the doctor. You knew how to handle things, right? So I had the opportunity to. I can't tell you where, because I had to agree never to talk about it or publish anything about it. But I had the opportunity to go into a very interesting place where a lot of people died. And one of the workers there it was very dark. So one of the workers there came up and was talking to me and said something about tattoos. And I said, yeah, most people think mine are institutional, but if you know anything about it, you don't really get a lot of color from institutional work. And he said, well, actually, it depends. And he starts showing me he goes, I did some when I was in prison for other people, and you use airbrush ink.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
And he goes, you have to be careful with it.
Right.
So please, I'm not saying to do that. If you are listening to here, please do not use that.
Right.
Go to a professional like Eric.
Right.
So it was interesting to me. He's searched, and I'm like, oh, I guess you make do. You learn to make do.
Totally, yeah.
And that's kind of what women. I mean, I can't imagine leaving the Midwest or the East Coast, coming out here, and then having to find the plants that worked to help, replace what you already had medicinally.
Totally, yeah.
So I think we forget that women had that power, and that it wasn't even power. It was like, that was a survival fucking skill.
Absolutely.
And now in Mormon culture, the men have the priesthood, which is the woo-woo shit, right? And women aren't really allowed to have any of it. And if you mix up your own tinctures, it's weird.
Except for the practical things.
Right. Yeah. It's so I think it's a very interesting.
The things that actually make things in real life work, right? Like, getting your kids going. You can't even imagine the heavy burden that is bestowed upon LDS women. It's incredible.
Yeah.
That's just expected. You know what I mean? It's not even just expected. It's like you're going to burn in hell for eternity if you don't do that, which is, I guess, a horrible motivation. But
well, I mean, even Kate said, she goes, from the time I got into Young Women's, we were taught, and it was spoken about openly, figuring out what kind of priesthood holder you wanted to marry. Like, it was like, wait, you're 12, like 13, like, what the fuck does that even matter?
Oh no, I learned a lot of things from actually listening to that. Just how young people are when they're exposed to things like that.
Yeah,
playing with GI Joes or Barbies and fucking around in the backyard.
Yeah,
or riding your bike in the woods.
Yeah,
thinking about. Yeah, it's gross.
Marry, like, who I'm gonna marry. Yeah,
no, it's gross.
It's so different.
Well, I guess I don't know if that's a carryover from where that would be a necessity. Out of I mean, a lot of people died on the way. I guess I think from what I understand, that's where kind of a leftover of polygamy came from, because a lot of men died. You know, I don't know, but. Still gross.
Yes. Agreed. Not my favorite. Not my favorite, like, spin-off of that TV show. I don't know why I have to have stupid metaphors and analogies.
No, it's great. I use them all the time. I'm a dad. I have to.
Yes. The hard part is when I'm speaking to someone and they have no idea what
you're saying.
Yeah, what the metaphor is, like, they can't grasp the idea because they have no idea what, like pan out, right? Like, it didn't pan out,
right?
Well, that's left over from mining, so we kind of know what that means, but like they have no idea. They don't even really get that. So it'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So anyway,
I love that stuff. Like
it's super culturally interesting.
Yeah, like threshold. Like the threshold. Because your floors were made out of thresh and dirt, and reeds and stuff, and it'd hold all the thresh in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool things like that.
Yeah. I actually
think brain
I didn't know that.
Full of them. Like, that's what I pay attention to.
It's I think it's going back to like us growing up in Utah. Knowing where we came from, people-wise, but not actually carrying any of those traditions, I think is interesting because, and I think we see this in a lot of cultures who come to America, who came to America. Now it's a little different. You needed to assimilate. You wanted to blend in. You wanted to not be the one with the accent.
Right. Not different.
And I think like the grandparents or whatever, great grandparents had the accent. The kids didn't, and they made sure the kids didn't.
Yeah.
I have one client who is Japanese, and her parents were in the internment camp out in Delta, right? Like, so they didn't speak Japanese. They didn't go to the Buddhist temple or whatever it was, like Shinto. Thank you.
Jinx.
Yeah. They didn't. And it's because that separated them. So
yeah.
Now we have all these traditions that are...
They ended up in a cage anyway.
Right? Yes. Yeah. It's hard. I think like we don't have those things because it was meant to be, you kind of get rid of them.
Right. Because we're still in,
so confusing.
Still in the new land. We're teenagers as far as the country goes.
Oh my God,
and it seems
even that old.
Right. And we're behaving as such.
So toddlers. We're toddlers.
Yeah. Right.
Toddlers.
Yeah.
Terrible twos.
Maybe 8 or 9 year old with a lot of malicious intent.
Yes.
Know enough to, know better, but we're still monkeys with guns,
Yes. Agreed. So that actually took me to like this idea of nationalists and Christian nationalists and like America, and how we feel the missing pieces, and we don't know what the missing pieces are, and yet we're not old enough and united enough as a country to have common. Well, we don't really allow for a lot of localized things, but we don't have the structure and we don't have the time under our belts to have these things that kind of fill in those missing pieces. And now that I am kind of vocalizing, because all this is just flowing out of me. I think it's because this is going to be a stab in the dark. I think it's because we don't actually realize that our religious and spiritual structure for our country is based on capitalism, and the fact that the gods of this country now are gods of industry and capitalism. They're not gods of the land, and that's probably where we still feel the missing piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a continuation of colonialism.
Yeah.
And that mindset of conquering and, beating the land back that, since colonials got here, seems to be our culture. Everybody is a special fucking cowboy. And if you don't pick yourself up by your bootstraps and make something of yourself, you are a completely worthless human being. That's what I think has been beat into me, and I'm sure a lot of other people.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think that's my answer to that question, if that was a question. But yeah, we don't have adequate social programs, and the social programs we do have, people think they aren't social programs. The people who vote, on one side or the other for people who are threatening to take those social programs away, like Medicaid or Medicare, Social Security, right? I mean, if that's even in the name right there, there's a lot of people who think that's just their right.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's not in a capitalist society.
No.
But yeah, it's all crazy. And I think not enough people step back and take a look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think more people need to travel to ancient lands and see how people do it elsewhere. You know, especially people from certain areas. Well, everybody should be able to do that, but only a certain amount of people are, able to do that.
Agreed. What I love about the story, and I'm glad we talked about Scotland for you, was that you had life here and you went there and it changed you. Mm-hmm. And now you have to adjust and adapt and like having that place of alignment and that feeling of alignment now gives you a different benchmark. Mm-hmm. And then, like it sometimes can be a struggle to achieve that here.
But I also think I've experienced more here than I did there afterwards. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I've had far more experiences with that since I've been back than I did there.
Do you think if you lived there, it would have the same meaning?
I don't know.
It'd be interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So do you feel like it was like, okay, the crack happened and then like the floodgates opened once you got home? Or is it just like, okay, that's just now my natural progression to have these experiences now that I have had the crack open?
I think, that's what it took. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So even if you lived there, you would still be having experiences.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Here I have to be mindful about it.
Yeah.
Here I have to do things. Rituals and meditation and thinking and stopping. Just go there. And it's obviously you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Everything is completely different from the norm, but I woke up being aligned, not even knowing what that meant at the time, Mm-hmm. Just light and God, it's, you have to work at it here.
I like it.
So I don't know. Yeah. If I lived there, I don't know. That's interesting. I'll have to think about that. Probably, I mean, like any other novel thing, it would wear off.
Yeah.
To a point, but I mean, sure like to spend another 40 years over there.
Amen to that.
I'm trying to figure that out if it's good or bad.
There are times when I feel like, I wonder if I'm coming back in October. You know what I mean? It's like, I wonder if I'm actually coming back.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
Right, yeah. Well, you'll be there for a while.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks.
That's when we go back, I want to go back for about that long.
I find that 2 weeks is great. When I hit the 3rd week, I tend to be a little bit more restless for home.
Yeah. It's like in between.
Yeah, and I tend to think about like, oh, Henry, I miss Henry, my dog, and like, so it's like you start to come out of it, like you've had anesthesia, and you start to come out of it, and things are just kind of weird.
Reality.
Yeah.
Of this
fucking
place.
Reality. So, I ask everyone this: if you were giving a commencement speech to the world, because we're graduating, like, if you could just tell people anything, like, what would be the thing that you're like, this is my t-shirt, this is my advice, this is my whatever, like, what is that?
Pay attention. I'll go back to that.
It's true, because it's free.
Right. And that's where everything should be. Just pay attention. Don't get so wrapped up in your head. Pay attention to the little things, like the synchronicities and intuition.
I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Erich of Black Elk Tattoo. The funny thing about this episode was that after we got done recording the second time, neither of us could remember what we had talked about. So, Erich, when you listen back to this is what we talked about. I always have a great time hanging out, talking to Erich. So I hope you got as much out of the conversation as he and I did, or at least I know I did. I appreciate you listening. And if you're interested in having any work done, or just interested in looking Erich up, you can go to blackelktattoo.com and hit him up from there. So if you like some of his work, please let him know. I appreciate you listening to Blue Antler, Whispered Secrets and Hidden Wisdom, a Discover Your Path podcast. I hope that our conversation today inspired and helped you discover a little bit more about your path.